Hello, good morning. Okay, so today we are moving on to lesson 1.2. 1.2 in our book is comparing and ordering integers. So we did learn last class, why isn't my pen? Oh, there it is. That integers are all whole numbers and their opposites. So it's all of our positive whole numbers and their opposites on that negative sign. So we're going to learn about how we can actually compare and order integers. Okay, so this should be our heading on our notes, lesson 1.2, comparing and ordering integers. We want to write, interpret, and explain statements of order for rational numbers in real-world context. So our goal or our objective today is how can you compare and order integers? So by the end of today's lesson, we should be able to compare them and order them. So when we're done taking these notes, in our book, we have a little story problem here. We're going to compare in positive and negative integers. So it says a Westfield Soccer League ranks its team using a number called the win-loss combined record. A team with more wins than losses will have a positive combined record. A team with fewer wins than losses will have a negative combined record. The table shows the total win-loss combined record for each team at the end of the season. So if we look down here, we see the Sharks, Jaguars, so on and so forth. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to graph all of these, okay? Using number lines with integers is going to be super helpful for us. So the Sharks are at 0, so easy. We want to label that A for Sharks so we know what point that is. B is positive 4, so that's 4 above or 4 to the right of 0. C is negative 4, so that's 4 to the left of 0. D is negative 6, so that's 6 to the left of 0. E is 2, so that's 2 to the right of 0. F is negative 2, so it's 2 to the left of 0. And G is positive 6, so it's 6 to the right of 0. So it's very helpful. I want everyone to go ahead and graph these. If you just draw out a graph or a line in your notes, that is totally fine, okay? So we're going to have all of these graphs, or all of these numbers graphed. So now it says, which team had the best record in the league? So the best record means that they won the most. So their combined record would be the most positive. So to find that, we go to the most positive. Which one is the furthest to the right on our number line? And that would be 6, which is G. So that would be the Wolves. How do we know it's the furthest right? Or it's the most positive? So we always know that the biggest number is going to be the furthest right on our number line. And that stands to say that the worst record would be the furthest left on the number line. So that would be all the way down here at D, which was the Tigers. It's the most negative. Oops. Or the furthest left. And so when we compare our numbers as left and right, or most negative and most positive, this is going to be really helpful when we actually order and compare integers, which is our objective today. So next we have here ordering positive and negative integers. When you read a number line from left to right, the numbers are in order from least to greatest. I want you to write this down in your notes, this whole sentence right here, okay? When you read a number line from left to right, so left to right, the numbers are in order from least to greatest, okay? So left to right is least to greatest. So for example here, if we have Fred recorded the following golf scores during his first week at the Golf Academy. In golf, the player with the lowest score wins the game. So graph Fred's scores on the number line, then list the numbers in order from least to greatest. So first we'd have to make a number line, which is pretty easy squeeze. I always put 0 in the middle, and then I kind of look. 5 is kind of where, so I think I'm going to go up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now what I want you to do is pause, and I want you to graph his scores. Okay, so Monday is 4, so it's 4 to the right of 0. That's Monday. Tuesday is -2. Wednesday is 3. Thursday is -5. Friday is -1. Saturday is he scored a 0, so he scored par. And Sunday he scored a -3. So then it says list the numbers in order from least to greatest. And it makes it really easy because now we just go from left to right, least to greatest. If it said greatest to least, we would just do the opposite and we would go from right to left. So in order from least to greatest is -3, or -5, -3, -2, -1, 0, 3, and 4. So easy squeeze. If we put them in order on our number line, all we have to do is copy down the numbers from left to right. So I want you to go ahead and try pause and do number 2. Okay, so number 2 says greatest to least. I hope that you read that direction. If you didn't read that direction, go ahead and pause and fix. Okay, so we're going to start by graphing. So -5 is 5 to the left of 0. +4 is 4 to the right of 0. 0 is the middle. -3 is 3 to the left. -6 is 6 to the left. And +2 is 2 to the right. Now it says greatest to least, so that means that I am going from right to left. So I'm going to start here. 4, 2, 0, -3, -5, and -6. So that's ordering integers from least to greatest, greatest to least. Super easy if we use that number line. Once we get the hang of it, we should be able to see it without using the number line, but the number line is always going to be helpful. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to compare, and we compare by writing an inequality. So an inequality, this needs to be written down in your notes from here to here. An inequality is a statement that two quantities are not equal. The symbols less than and greater than are used to write equality. So I want this as well. Okay, so this first sentence, an inequality is a statement that two quantities are not equal. The symbol this means greater than, and the symbol this one means is less than. So remember, we think of those alligators. The alligator eats the bigger number, so it would eat 10, and it poops out the little number, which is 8. So it's pooping out the little number, and it's eating the big meal. So I want this written down in your notes as well. Hint, we read them from left to right like we read everything else. So 6 is less than 8. 6 is less than 8. -3 is less than -1. The sign points. You could also imagine that it's an arrow, right? It points to the smaller of the two numbers. So it's pointing that 8 is smaller than 10. So -3 is smaller than -1. Go ahead and pause and finish your notes here if you haven't already. So when we are comparing numbers, it's super easy if we put it on the number line. So if we graph, so it says in 2005, Austin, Texas received 51 inches of annual precipitation. In 2009, the city received 36 inches of annual precipitation. In which year was there more precipitation? So if we graph them, now obviously this is pretty easy. We know that 51 is bigger than 36, but to show you here that 36 is further left on our number line, that means that 36, our arrow points left, is smaller than 51. We can also flip this around and we can say which one is bigger, okay? So 51, if we put 51 first, we'd have to change our arrow, right? Because our arrow would have to still point to 36. So these are both correct. Just make sure that your arrow is always pointing to the smaller of the two numbers. So when we look at negative and positive numbers, it's more difficult when they're both negative because it's kind of opposite of what we think. If one is negative and one is positive, it's easier because you're always going to point to the negative number. But when we come to negative numbers, -10 and -2 here, it's actually the opposite. So -10 is further to the left. So we're actually going to put our arrow towards our -10 because it's further left or it's more negative. Whereas -7 and -8, again, -8 is more negative. So we have to point to our -8. Now we're going to discuss, I will get up in class and we will talk about it. Your homework assignment for today is on page 17. You need to do 16 through 19 all, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 24 and 25. I will come up in a couple of minutes and we will do some practice problems. Have a fantastic day.